This is me watching a very strange film to see for myself if it actually makes you hallucinate. Until about halfway through, I'm getting goosebumps all the time. This is... Yeah, let me explain. On November 11 of 1965, an artist named Tony Conrad had written this letter to his friend. In it, he talks about a project he's been working on for a while, which he simply calls The Flicker. It was going to be his very first film as a director, but the way he describes it makes it sound more like a theoretical science experiment. And it makes sense, because just a few years prior, he had graduated from Harvard University with a degree in math and also had a background in analytical and physiological sciences. So, looking at this, Tony Conrad was very interested in the way our mind works, and as he puts it, he wanted to explore the ambiguous outer limits of human sensation and the richness of the experiences to be had there. In other words, he believed that he had found a way to trigger a hypnotic state that gets you to hallucinate by essentially combining science with art. It had all started around 1962, when he was at a rock concert and noticed that the flashing lights on the stage were creating a mesmerizing experience, which turns out had a scientific name, the stroboscopic effect. If you've ever been to a dance club where they turn those really fast flashes while everyone is dancing, and it sort of creates the illusion that they're either frozen in time or moving in slow motion, and it's quite trippy, it's basically that. So he starts messing around with a projector to try and recreate the effect, and discovers that there is a sweet spot. Anything faster than 40 flashes per second, and it is so fast that our brains cannot even comprehend it, while anything slower than 4, and it just looks the light switching on and off. But, as he writes in the letter, in the range from 6 to 18 flashes per second, strange things occur. From that point on, he spends a year and a half researching this. He talks about things like the specific light spectrum, frequencies, harmonic rhythm, brain waves, and even used his computer programming skills to calculate the perfect flicker patterns, out of which are 47 in this movie. And after all that work, the film premiered at the New York Film Festival in 1966, where some people hated it so much they just walked away, while others threw up or got a headache, as obviously this film is a major epileptic nightmare. In fact, they had to have a doctor present at all times, but the rest of the audience reported a weird experience. Some of them reported that they felt hypnotized, like their bodies were moving. Others said that they heard things that were not there, or saw things that are not there, basically straight up hallucinating. Faces, objects, places, things that are not there, and things that Tony Conrad made very clear that are not in the movie. Now, remember, this was the 60s, and all of those things could be easily explained by the psychedelic movement. But, just like in horror films, when some of the scariest things are the ones that we don't actually see, our own imagination is capable of a lot. So what if this film could unlock some truly mind-blowing experience, but we would never know, because no one hates themselves enough to sit through 30 minutes of black and white flashes. I've got my emergency bag just in case. You know it's going to be a good film when it starts with a warning, which reads, "The producer, distributor, and exhibitors waive all liability for physical or mental injury possibly caused by the motion picture The Flicker." I was slightly worried if I'll get a headache or even worse, but according to him and the doctor he consulted, only about 0.1% of people are prone to this, so I took my chances. There's something creepy about a warning as serious as this, having a very cheery background music. Okay, something's happening. What is this? I see a T.R. Conrad present. Oh, Tony Conrad presents. Took me a second to read that. Oh, okay. We're flickering. In the beginning, it wasn't too bad at all. I'll give it credit that it sort of eases you into it. So it starts slowly, and then the flashes gradually speed up as it continues. Also, just for the record, I am 100% sober in any sense of the word, just in case I ended up actually seeing and hallucinating something. So in the letter, he writes that in order to get the best effect, the audience has to fixate their eyes in the middle of the screen and not look away at any time, which I did, but it was actually quite hard because one, I instinctively wanted to look away, especially when it got more intense, but also my eyes got really dry. It's a bit hard to keep my eyes open, honestly. And it's not fully white frames and fully black frames. I can see some artifacts from the film and the film grain. I wonder if those shapes might cause some of those illusions later on. Around 5 minutes in, I got my first experience, which coincidentally was the exact same as the reporter who saw it in 1965. Okay, this is a little bit weird. It feels like the screen is expanding a little bit, and I'm seeing less and less from everything else around the screen. It's almost darkened, and the screen is taking a bigger and bigger place in my vision. Then I felt dizzy for a second. That's very fast. I feel like I'm moving. It was something, but not too dissimilar to those optic illusions you'd see around the internet, and I was not being hypnotized or hallucinating or anything. I had a healthy dose of skepticism, but at the same time, it was getting slightly harder to make sense of what I was experiencing. Am I being brainwashed? I feel like someone has captured me and they're trying to extract information out of me. Stop! I'll tell you everything, just stop. Then, after the projector sound stopped, the soundtrack kicked in, which was genuinely one of the creepiest sounds I have ever heard in my life. What a creepy sound. This genuinely feels like an alien message that made its way to Earth, and we're trying to decode it and figure out what they're trying to tell us. Actually, the soundtrack was just as important piece of the puzzle as the flashes themselves. Tony Conrad used homemade electronic instruments to create it, and it was a deliberate choice, which, as he puts, in contrast with the speed of the flashes, creates a sense of vastness and spaciousness. The projector sort of has a 3D sound effect where it's going sort of around my head a little bit. I'm starting to see the color blue. I don't know if I'm making that up or not. Yeah, after a while, I started seeing some color patterns, which could be caused by anything, and although I had no idea how long it had been, it felt like a while. So at that point, I just wished to see anything, really. Every now and then, the center starts spinning like a spiral. Whoa. The whole frame started spinning for a second. Now I'm seeing a lot of circles inside of it. Is that really there? There's just a lot of bubbles inside of it. And then something finally happened. I did not see a face or a miracle or my future, nothing cool honestly, but I clearly saw shapes. And you can see the shock on my face. I'm getting goosebumps all the time. This is... I think there was a square in there. I'm starting to see red in the middle of the screen and very colorful lines. Now the whole screen Whoa. This is actually a little bit trippy. I'm seeing a bunch of red and green lines all across the screen. At that point, it had been about 20 minutes in, and I was starting to get lost for words. There's a center of the image. Okay, now it's really tripping me out. It is sort of... It almost feels like it's coming out of the screen. There's this colorful... Then, maybe it was the sound. Maybe it was my brain acting up for whatever reason. But I got the absolute creepiest chills all over my body. Oh, I'm not kidding. I'm getting goosebumps. I don't know if you're able to see them on the camera. This has gotten really creepy. I'm getting goosebumps. And I started seeing some squares and lines in the middle of the screen. I don't like this. I really don't like this. I felt uncomfortable. My brain started feeling a bit messed up. It was just confusing. For whatever reason, now it feels like it's running in slow motion. I don't know why, but it feels like it's in slow motion. And then it started to slow down and ease out of it, and thankfully I did not feel nauseous at all. Is it over? Whoa. I feel a little bit disoriented, if I have to be honest. Okay, but I'm okay. I am okay. Right. Interesting. I was surprised at how short it felt. Before I started, I genuinely thought that 30 minutes would feel like an eternity, but to me, it felt more like 5 minutes. It flew by much faster than I anticipated. Now that I had some time to process it, there are a few things worth mentioning. First of all, is this even a film? There's no story, no characters, no plot. It is as minimalistic as it can possibly be. And I've seen some very avant-garde experimental films in my time, including a film that was entirely a blue screen, so I always walk with an open mind and I always give them a fair chance. But this one was pushing it a little bit, even for me. It is technically a structured film, which is a film form that focuses heavily on the way it was made, the actual physical structure of it. The frame, the film, the grain, the camera, and everything else comes secondary to it, if at all. But if the main purpose of a film is not even to tell a story, but to evoke an emotion, to make you feel something, this one did. It creeped me out, it got me confused, and it gave me an experience I could actually physically feel. And then, was I hypnotized? I don't know, but time went really fast for me. Did I hallucinate? I don't know, but I saw some shapes. Do those shapes count? Do the colors count? I'm not too sure, but to give some credit to Tony Conrad, while he was confident about it, he also urged people to be level-headed and not read too much into it. He did exactly what experimental filmmaking is all about. Speaking of which, I made a video in which I check out some of the strangest films I could find that break all the rules of cinema, including the blue one that I mentioned earlier, which you can check out right now.